I'll tell you a cute story. So when I first started doing this business, the first gentleman I placed him in a business called fish window cleaning. Now, who would have thought you could make a great living cleaning windows? Well, the reality is, when I introduced this to him, he was in Tennessee. And when he bought the franchise, he called me and he said, Phyllis, I have to tell you, and in those days, we did it all over the phone. I never met them in person. And he said, when you said fish window cleaning, Judy looked at me and I looked at her and we rolled our eyes like, are you kidding me? He said, but the more I looked at it, the more I liked it. His preconceived notion was him with a bucket and a squeegee out cleaning windows. The reality was he was going out and making sales calls to people like food franchises and saying, look, I would love to have my team come in here and clean your windows. Exactly what do you need?
Hi, and welcome to the Entrepreneur Freedom Solutions Show. I'm Eric Asbeck, and today we have a special treat for you. We have Phyllis Pieri, and she is a franchise expert. And she likes to say that she transforms people's lives through franchise ownership. And well, I'm going to let her explain all that. So hi, Phyllis. Welcome.
Hi, Eric. How are you doing today?
Very good. It's so nice to have you with us.
Oh, it's exciting to be here.
Yes, I'm excited too. Let's just jump right in and say, well, tell me about this whole franchise ownership thing and what is it and why is it important?
Such a great question, and I appreciate you letting me be on the show. Franchising is something that I'm very passionate about. And one of the reasons that I am is that when people think franchising, they think food. And yes, while food is a large part of the franchise industry, most people either don't qualify for food because it's very expensive, or once they learn about what food's all about, they realize it's not the business they want to get into. So
maybe like McDonald's or I don't know, whatever.
And those are great brands, but people that are in those particular food brands are people that have been in business for a long time. They own multiple brands. I know people that own 100 of these, what they call QSR franchises, and they're a different breed of person. They're not the individual that I work with. And it takes a certain skill set to do food. And interestingly enough, one of the things I've learned over the years is that typically somebody that is attracted to food is because they probably did food in college or they did food in high school and they loved the adrenaline rush that it gives because there's so many moving parts. But that isn't typically my candidate that I work with.
Well, who is then?
So I work with entrepreneurs and investors that are either want to add to their portfolio and diversify it, or let's say that they are working and they want to keep their job, but they want to build more money on the side. They can get into semi-absentee franchises. They could be somebody I work with a lot of people in their 50s and 60s that have been displaced, and all of a sudden they go, oh, I just do not want to go back and work for somebody else. So they come out, they become consultants, and they work with people like yourself, and they try to figure out what it is they want to do. Because people think of franchising as mainly food, they don't consider franchising. And I'm really on a mission to open people's eyes to why they should consider a franchise. Doesn't mean they do it, doesn't mean it's the right fit for them, but I do think it is something that they should explore.
Yes, and I'll just say for myself, when I was in a situation like that, I looked at a number of franchises. The one that seemed most attractive was Great Clips, which is haircutting. But I also looked at a couple different coaching franchises. It was amazing what the variety was that was out there.
Yes. It's interesting. So Great Clips is a great company. There's several different hair cutting franchises, and they've all been incredibly successful. And the reason for that is that they have, well, first of all, it's recession proof. Everybody needs to get their haircut.
Hair's not going away.
Even you, Eric, you still have to go get it trimmed, right?
And actually, I'd go to Great Clips. It happens to be.
Well, see, there you go. So that business model was, I believe, the first franchise that was on that came about that where you could keep your job and you could build Great Clips on the side. And the reason it worked so well, and especially for Great Clips, they have a wonderful model because what they do is they take large geographic areas, DMAs, which is like, if you think of a DMA, it's like TV studios have DMAs. So they have a very large area.
Like a
that they-
broadcast radius.
Exactly. So they will take and they would develop a training center where they would teach all the stylists their system of cutting hair and so forth. And then they would start developing that market. So that model was designed for the owner to oversee the build out and the operation, but that he would hire a manager and the manager would be the one that would hire the stylist. So
Yep.
you as an owner.
I love that.
Exactly.
Then
You didn't
you
know
take the
there.
money from that one and you can say, okay, great, I've got enough, I can invest in another one. You hire another manager and so forth and so on, which is
Exactly.
perfect. And that's the beauty of a replicable business model.
Yep.
It
And
scales.
yes, and that's what franchising is all about, duplicating it, right?
Yeah.
So that's a great model, and technology has played a very large part in franchising. As an example, so Eric, you're working your job, you've got 2 or 3 great clips. You log into the back office and you look at the heads, because what they do is they count the number of people that are sitting in chairs. And they go, oh, gee, this one's down a little bit. And you fire a message off to the manager and say, go take coupons over to the grocery store to remind people to come into Great Clips to get a discount on their haircut. It's things like that.
Yeah, but they've all got that, they've thought all that through.
Absolutely.
So like there's like, you almost can go to a manual and say, what do I do if?
That's exactly
And they're
what
like,
you
you do this, do that, which is,
Mhm.
and so that's perfect for some folks.
It's brilliant.
So let me just ask you, what's intriguing me here is like, so how the heck did you get started in this? Because there's a lot we could talk about, but that's just like, I'm curious.
So it is an interesting story. I was sadly divorced at the age of 21. I got married at 18, was going to go to college, got married instead. In those days, if you were married, you were married. You didn't go to college because you're married. I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. What I really wanted to be was a teacher. And at 21, I found myself divorced. And my sister called me and said, hey, we're doing a trade show. Would you come stuff envelopes? Well, one of the things I've learned over the years is to always be willing. And I have learned, when I look back on my career, one of the things that I've noticed is that I have always said yes to opportunities, because you never know, is it that boat that's coming to try and rescue you? And if you don't say yes and you don't jump in the boat, you don't have the experience. So I've had a very interesting life, but it's really been pretty much tailored around franchising. So I got the job, I went, I stuffed the envelopes. Then they said, gee, would you go do the trade show and be the hook on the booth? Sure. I did that. I got all the people to come in. Monday, they invited me back. And the sales guy, you'll love this. The sales guy comes to me with this big stack of blue cards. And he said, hey, Phyllis, would you call these people and book appointments? Sure. It's like, I just did whatever. If you want me to do it, I'm willing. I always say yes.
You want to make copies? I'll make copies.
Exactly. So I literally spent 2 years doing different jobs around the Sir Speedy Printing headquarters, which was the corporate headquarters. Well, I ended up buying a Sir Speedy in downtown San Francisco with a partner, and I owned that for 3.5 years. And then we ended up moving back to Orange County, California, where I reside now. And we spent 10 years in the automotive industry. So I've been a franchise owner. I've sold franchises. I later went and helped people start franchises. I got recruited by Sir Speedy to sell for them. And I remember Don Lowe looking at me, the CEO of the company, and he said, why do you think you can sell our franchise? I said, because I love your business. He said, okay, you're hired.
Sometimes the assessment, he sized you up too, I'm sure, but that's like, you're all in, I'm all in.
I'm all in, right? And then the last thing was that the world of consulting and being a franchise coach and all of those things started bubbling up. And there were 2 different companies that were franchises. I would have been happy to buy that franchise, but it was already taken in my market. And so then I ended up in the state of Washington for 20 years. And when I was up there, a new consulting group started that didn't matter where you lived. And so I jumped on board. And what I've done the last 20 years, and instead of me being focused on a particular company and me trying to sell you on this brand, because I wouldn't work for them if I didn't believe in them. But now I get to really get to know you, figure out what you're good at, what you love, what would be a good fit for you, what, all those things.
So you have a
And now I
portfolio of different things.
yes, I have a portfolio of about 350 companies, but quite honestly, I could work with I could present you to any franchise company out there. I've been in the industry long enough that I'm very well known in the industry, and I could go to them directly and say, look, I've got a very qualified candidate for you. Can I present your brand to them? And of course, they'd say yes.
Very
So
cool.
I've done it all.
Well, so that actually is a perfect segue into a question I would ask. What are the biggest mistakes that people would make going into this? And you've seen the roadblocks.
Yes, I've seen them, and it's really interesting. People get into franchising for various different reasons, but some of the things that they don't do is, one, they don't ask enough questions. They get sold. So it's really important for anyone to know that when you're looking into a franchise, you should be able to ask every question imaginable. The only one area that they can't answer for you is how much money you can make, unless it's in their item 19, which is, it's a legal document and it has a section that gives you information about financially how you can do. However, that doesn't mean you can't find out. It just means that you need to ask the franchise owners. And so many times people don't read the franchise disclosure document. They don't go take it to a franchise attorney. It's going to save them a lot of grief. They don't know what to ask the franchise owners. Those are the things that I'm able to help people with.
Yes. And I remember when I looked at Great Clips, I ended up talking to a few owners. I did look at the financial disclosure statements. There were a bunch of questions that they actually answered in their documents because they just knew they were going to be asked, and I asked them more like that. So I totally understand what you're saying. There's just a lot of due diligence that if you're going that route, you want, it's not only even that you owe yourself, but it's like, just do not go into it unless you are really digging in and exactly what you're getting into.
Well, and the thing about it is that, let's say you decide, no, I don't want to pay those people that money. I'm going to go do my own hair cutting salon over here. When you realize how much money they have spent making mistakes and figuring it out and refining those systems, the amount of time and energy and money you're going to spend is going to surpass what they've done. And your results, quite honestly, probably will not be as good because, come on, let's face it, you've got the synergy of other franchise owners and you've got somebody to call on that can give you support and help and all that stuff. So
strong case for it. It takes a certain personality, actually. And that's actually maybe the next question to ask you, which is like, so tell me more about the people that you serve that are right for considering franchise ownership.
Question.
And then who's your, like, who are the best of the best clients of your, who would those people be that would be like the best fit?
So the ones that are the best fit are the ones that have, first of all, they've decided they really want to have their own business. If they're, one of my jobs, and one of the things that's important that I do is to determine whether you're too entrepreneurial enough or not. Because if you are a true entrepreneur and you've got this vision of what you want, a franchise is going to hold you back, and that's not what you want. Come see us after you've got a successful business and we'll turn it into a franchise, right?
Yeah, like as another stream of income.
Exactly. It's a great way. You can either use other people's money or use your own to do multiple locations, right? So one, they can't be too entrepreneurial. Two, they really have to have
But they have to be entrepreneurial enough
to want to have their own
willing
business.
to be an owner and take those responsibilities.
Right, exactly. And they have to be willing to follow a system. That's the most, like school teachers, veterans, they make great franchise owners. Why? Because they have good leadership skills, but they also understand the value of following a system and they're willing to follow it. So not only are
not the person who, when they take your, like, not for people like the people I serve have clients, and some clients follow the coaching and others do their own variation of the course and they don't get the same results.
That's right.
So now look at yourself. Are you, which one are you?
Pattern. Exactly. But they also have to understand at the end of the day, somebody has to sell something. So they have to realize that they are their brand and they have to be excited about it. One of the things that I look for, Eric, is I want people to find a business where they can play where they work. I know that sounds silly, right? But the reality is, if you love,
you've got to take some joy out of it. Otherwise,
absolutely.
if it's a drudge, it's like, why are you doing this?
Mhm, mhm.
Really,
But I'll tell you
you need to
something.
think. You need to think about what's going on here.
Absolutely.
Seriously.
But let's look at businesses that are big money makers that don't seem very glamorous, but yet they're very successful. Things like, let's talk about water restoration. If your house floods, there's lots of franchises that do that service. Now, it's not a glamorous service, but the owner is not the one doing the work. The owner is the one that's out in the community, talking to the insurance people, part of the chamber, they're part of the local community. They're there helping their local community when they have problems. And they are the ones that come save those poor people and make their life easier.
I've got a team that can help you.
Exactly, right. So you as the owner, in a lot of cases, so when I work with people, I'm trying to figure out, what do you want to do? What do you see yourself doing? Do you see yourself in a retail location? Customers are coming in and you're answering their questions. You could do light manufacturing like the sign business. It's a very funny thing about the sign business. When I used to have a Sir Speedy print shop and I sold franchises in printing, I always got beat out by signs. And I never could figure that out. And when I thought signs, I thought of the big sign in the front of the building. Like, surely I do a lot more than
Think
that.
about billboards.
Exactly. What I didn't think about is everywhere you look is a sign. It's directional signage. It's when you go into the grocery store, it's the printing on the floor, that's signage. Anyway, so it's preconceived notions. I had a preconceived notions about what the sign business really was, but it's light manufacturing and it's a great business, very much of a people business. Maybe you like managing teams. Who would have thought that you could make a whole lot of money having people out cleaning residential houses? Guess what? That is a very profitable business. Why? Because what you're doing is you're managing people and you're making lives much more comfortable. Good times, bad times, COVID or not, the house cleaning business still survived. And you never have trouble getting customers. Your challenge is always with finding employees. The franchise industry has done a very great job of coming up with different kinds of incentives that they can use to get the employees to want to stay because they become part of the family. And that's what people are
Again, back to that system, something that's tried and true.
Yes.
Maybe it would help if you could just come, like, if there a specific example of somebody that you have helped through this process and like, what's the transformation that they got? Because bring it down to one specific thing.
I'll give you an example. A great gentleman that I worked with, he happened to be a member of my church. And he had lost his job. And I watched him for 2 years, bumbling around, trying to figure out, trying to interview, and he just wasn't getting anywhere. And finally, one day I went to him and I said, would you just please give me some time, work with me, let's see if I can find you something. And we had more fun. And he ended up becoming a franchise owner for a company called Oasis Senior Advisors. And what they do is they help people. So for instance, I have a girlfriend who is sadly in her early 70s with dementia, and she had no children and no family, and I became her executor. She had a injury. She ended up in a convalescent hospital. As it turned out, she could never go home. So the business for Rob went full circle because I called him and I said, I need to find a place for my friend Jennifer to go live. And because he had been doing this for a while, he knew the perfect group home for Jennifer. So it's a business that's consultative. He's a beautiful Christian man. He loves helping people, and he's able to make families' lives easier because he's able to refer them to places that he's vetted and he knows they do a good job. And as it happens, I have her in the best home in the area up in Issaquah. It's the highest rated group home, which is just perfect for her. So it's one of those feel-good businesses, and it's all about relationships. And so much of our world today is about relationships.
That's my mom had dementia. Fortunately, she was able to live. She and my dad were able to live with my sister and brother-in-law, who are amazing people. And so we didn't, but we had to confront that. Like,
Yes,
what if? And it's a very complex question.
it is a very.
So I
complex
understand. That's a really great story.
It's ironic, right? Isn't it? As
Yeah,
a matter,
it came around, right?
did go around. And as a matter of fact, I called him recently to tell him, because the price keeps going up because she keeps getting more, needing more and more care.
Right.
And so I double checked with him and said, okay, this is what they're charging me now. Is that correct? And he said, unfortunately, that's standard in the industry today.
And
So
it helps to have that you have somebody you trust who knows the market.
yes,
So it's like somebody that's just one example. I got it.
yes,
So I imagine people are interested in this. Some people are saying, hey, maybe this is a good thing for me. But as they get into it, are there like what roadblocks may they face, and like what do you watch out for?
well, so a lot of what I see is preconceived notions. So people, so in the work that I do, when I present people with companies, a lot of times they may say to me, oh, I would never do that. And I know, because I know what the business is all about, that it will be a great fit for them. It's just that their perception of what they're going to be doing is not right. So I'll
Mhm.
tell you a cute story. So when I first started doing this business, the first gentleman I placed him in a business called fish window cleaning. Now, who would have thought you could make a great living cleaning windows? Well, the reality is, when I introduced this to him, he was in Tennessee. And when he bought the franchise, he called me and he said, Phyllis, I have to tell you, and in those days we did it all over the phone. I never met them in person. And he said, when you said fish window cleaning, Judy looked at me and I looked at her and we rolled our eyes like, are you kidding me? He said, but the more I looked at it, the more I liked it. His preconceived notion was him with a bucket and a squeegee out cleaning windows. The reality was he was going out and making sales calls to people like food franchises and saying, look, I would love to have my team come in here and clean your windows. Exactly what do you need? And they would specifically write it down and they'd have a contract for a year. Total different perception. And if you drive around, glass is everywhere. So it's one of those businesses where you don't know what you don't know. And it's important to work with someone like myself who can guide you to those business models that we know what you need and what characteristics you want. And I know how you can find them.
And even though the business has a certain thing that they do, essentially you have a team for that. And what don't you see that is your role in it that may be a great fit for you or not? Maybe you don't like to go around to businesses and ask them, you got windows on your team. Or maybe you do, or maybe you do like being part of the Chamber of Commerce and being around town. And when there's trouble, you're like, hey, I got a team I can help with this. Or maybe that's not you and you find
That's
something
right.
else.
And that's where you have to ask the questions. And that's where you have to have a big enough why, because it's going to be a lot of hard work. It's not going to be easy, but so you have to have a big enough.
Darn.
I know, right? And even like, but Eric, even like when you looked at the coaching franchises, the key to the coaching franchises is they have, if you love helping people and you love coaching, instead of you trying to figure out what coach you can be, when you look at the coaching franchises, they have all the different the verticals. So let's say that you decide that there are certain people that you really want to coach. They've got it all dialed in, how to find them, how to present to them, have all the curriculum on how to coach them and the different, it's like all dialed in for you. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
I looked at a franchise also that was getting a group of entrepreneurs together.
I bet it was
like BNI model and like a mastermind group. And so the skill there was tracking those folks, but also then being the leader of that group and allowing people to interact, not being the entrepreneur in itself. It was just an interesting model.
Mhm.
So
If there's some challenge out there, there's a franchise that will.
this is what I was realizing. So is there like one nice golden nugget that that you'd like to share, or is there something that if people were to take away one thing?
I think the golden nugget that I would like to share with people is understand when it comes to a franchise, you should be able to get every single one of your questions answered. So you're not walking into it with the idea of, oh, I hope this is going to work. You're going to walk into it knowing if I'm willing to follow the system and do the work, I have every reason to be as successful as the top guy. And my goal for my franchise owners is for them to be rookie of the year after they've started in the business. And there's no reason why they can't be if they're willing to, if they love what they're doing and they're willing to follow the system and work hard. Imagine that.
And I also know, like in my time of looking at things, my franchise coach was basically saying, here's the ones that really stand out. Like this system, if you follow it, people get pretty consistent results. I can't promise, but I'm telling you, this will really take a good look at this. And it's one of the values I have in it, like somebody who's been around for a while.
Yes. Well, since I've spent the last 40 years in the franchise industry, I'm a little passionate about what I do.
We've noticed.
And I'm not embarrassed to say that because it's the truth. And
an awesome thing. Listen, why would you waste your time doing something you're not passionate about?
I know.
I say that to everybody.
And that's my true belief. So when I work with people, it's really important to really figure out, you have to have a strong enough why to get up every day and go do the work.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then you won't.
Yeah.
Pretty simple.
I in doing research for the program that I teach, I interviewed a bunch of different entrepreneurs, and one who was very seasoned said, what jacks me up every morning, gets me out of bed, is the idea that I'm able to do what I'm doing again.
Right.
He was like, if I couldn't do that, I don't know what I'd do. I love it.
I can't imagine not working. It's because to me, this isn't work. This is love and life, changing people's lives, giving people a reason to get up every day. Because Eric, you and I both know that retirement has its downfalls. And one of the things that happens to a lot of people that are retired is they think they want to play a lot of golf, but all of a sudden they get bored and go, okay, I can only play so much golf. You have to have a purpose. You have to have a reason to get up every day and a purpose. And I think one of the things that franchising offers people is vitality and purpose and community. Realize franchising is all about its own built-in community. And the franchise owners become your partners. Your franchisor is your partner, but the other franchise owners, they're all part of your community. And I promise you, when you call them and say, this is happening to me, they go, oh, that happened to me. This is what I did.
There's a lot of that's invaluable.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, what's one question that you wish I'd asked, and how would you answer it? I'm not sure whether you just did, or if there's anything else.
Did.
I was thinking, I'll bet that's it. So, well, this has been so really amazing.
Thank you.
I let myself get carried away. The conversation myself is something that's of interest to me. So how can people get in touch with you? Is there something how can people get in touch? And is there anything that?
So I'm really easy to find. So my name is spelled Phyllis. Last name is Pieri. And my website is Your Franchise Coach, YOURFRANCHISECOACH.com. And on there, I have a free gift, which is the 5 mistakes to avoid. And you can download that. And if you have any questions at all, please feel very comfortable to book a quick 15-minute call. I'd be happy to help you in any way I can.
That's fantastic. And that's back to that when we first were talking, you started to go into those mistakes. So I imagine that gift will give them a little more clarity around that stuff. Huh?
Exactly. Yes.
Awesome.
Well, Eric, this has been delightful. I so appreciate you inviting me on your show.
It's been a treat. And I wanted to say thank you very much. And I hope that people enjoyed it. Please get in touch with Phyllis. She's awesome. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.